go ahead and get started with the meeting. Start with prayer, followed by the pledge of allegiance. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for your blessings to us. Thank you for the beautiful weather we've had this week. We pray that you will be with our county employees, our elected officials, as we make every day the decisions for our county. We pray you'll bless this meeting now, guide our decisions, Lord, that we will do what's best for our citizens. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order for agenda business. Public comment, do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, we have 5.
Okay.
First one is Jennifer Gregg.
Hey, Jennifer.
How are you all today?
Okay, and you?
It's a beautiful day.
Perfect.
We're California stuff, finally. So, Jennifer Griggs here with the Randolph County Housing Authority, and I'm here to give the monthly kind of update on the joint project that we have with the CDBG prevention funding. So, in the month of April, we received 26 calls for assistance. 17 of those calls, people gave us back their paperwork and we found they were eligible. So we actually, we're working through most of those right now. We were able to fund 8 households, which was a total of 21 people. In our singles, just some demographic information. In our families, we had 3 children, 0 to 5, that were part of the families that we assisted. And in the singles, we had 3 individuals that were over the age of 62 that we assisted. So I thought that was just a little notable for you guys to know that we are continuing to assist. Most of them, it's been split between rental and utility arrears. We received just this past week our first request for mortgage assistance, and so we're working through the process on that one. That's a slightly more complicated one. We are getting an uptick in phone calls so far this month, and this is as of yesterday. We've already taken 38 calls compared to 26 in all of last month, so we're definitely seeing an uptick. We anticipate that uptick continuing. And we're also getting calls, we've gotten 1 or 2 calls so far asking for people assistance on paying property taxes. And so of course that's not eligible with our grant, but we have gotten a couple of those phone calls. And so we've given them the best information we can on that.
Yeah.
So do you have any questions on those? Okay. All right.
I don't have any.
All right, and then as I'm here for some of the other things that we're doing, and I don't know if it's appropriate to leave flyers. Can I leave flyers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we have, I've talked about this before, but it's all official and I'm meeting it. We have our healthcare training program, which is community college credit, starting for the clinical medical assistant this August here in downtown Elkins. It's gonna be, we've got the room, we've got the instructor, we have the material, and so they'll get about 13 college credits, and they'll be, anybody who completes that can take the testing for phlebotomy, EKG, and assistant, which is like a unit secretary. So we still have spaces open for that. We still have spaces also open for our June 7th through 18th Wood Tech Get Ready course, which is a 2-week course to help people get into wood product manufacturing. And then finally, just a plug for a fundraiser we're doing. It's Paint for a Cause, proceeds for the Youth Build North Central. We're doing a painting with butterflies, and so it's $25 a ticket. That'll be happening in June, and it's all net proceeds. We're going to be going to Youth Build to help in support their program. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
Tim Ty.
Tim.
Pardon me. I just have one question here, and I don't know how this works, but you guys, the county's coming into 5.5 million and change from the federal government. When are we gonna see how that's gonna be allocated, and how is that gonna work?
Well, we were just in training in Flatwoods 2 days ago
Okay.
trying to figure out how the money can be spent.
Yeah, I wanted to know
It's-
that, you know,
it's-
like, is it going to fairs and festivals, is it going for infrastructure, what, you know?
It's very, from what we've learned so far, it's pretty restrictive as to what the funds can be used for.
Okay.
So we don't have an exact, knowledge of everything that can be done. We've been receiving requests from different entities, but I know, the one thing we do know, water, sewer, wastewater, separation and broadband infrastructure is definitely covered. Anything that is directly associated with COVID response is covered. And, beyond that, we're still gathering
Figuring it out,
information.
yeah.
Well, there's a lot of questions they asked at that training,
Yeah.
Tim, that they didn't have
And
answers
the auditors
to.
didn't even know, have an answer, so.
I'm still waiting on my money from the Small Business Association, my $15,000 grant. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. All right, thanks, fellas.
Yes, thank you.
Have a good day.
Appreciate you coming.
Yeah.
Brad Smith.
I'm just here representing, Norton Harding, Jimtown PSD. They'll probably give you the information that we need.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Phyllis Lee.
Good afternoon. I'm Phyllis Lee, and I'm the chairperson of the Norton Harding PSD. And I have with me the board members, of course, Brad Smith, and our chief operator, Curtis Ellamore.
Now, Phyllis, let me interrupt for just a second, because you're actually an agenda on the first agenda item for items for discussion. So just, if you'll hold on for a second, is there anybody else, who else is on the list? Just board members?
Mr. Elmore.
All right, or do you want to speak, say anything?
I'll address, if we're on the agenda, then.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're on the agenda, you're actually item A, so we'll go ahead and move from our public comment at this time. So do we want to go ahead and get our reports done, and then we can have them do their presentation? Are you guys okay with that? So if you'll wait for just a second, Phyllis, we'll pull you back up here in a minute and
Okay,
have
thank
you
you.
speak to us, okay? All right, so let's see, Cindy, do you have anything?
No.
All right, anything from the sheriff's office? All right, anything from the clerk?
We gotta do, I don't have anything, I think we got minutes coming up.
Oh, it's true, we need to go ahead and approve the minutes, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and consider the minutes for approval.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes from the May 6th meeting of the county commission as submitted.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the May 6th minutes of the regular meeting of the county commission as submitted. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Appreciate that, Alice. I missed that there and all that.
Something to keep me straight too.
All right, let's see. Announcements, do we have any announcements? Yes, thank you. All right, we wanted to take a moment. We received from the minority leader of the House of Delegates a letter acknowledging the service of all of our elected county officials during the pandemic. So I wanted to read briefly. It's signed by all the members of the House of Delegates, but it recognizes county officials and personnel as essential workers. So read this quickly. Whereas the worldwide coronavirus pandemic has presented immense challenges for state, local governments in West Virginia, and whereas county government officials and personnel have been selflessly committed to maintaining continuity of county government services during these most uncertain of times, and whereas County Commission has managed a myriad of challenges necessary to sustain the provision of services even amidst unforeseen shrinking county revenues, and whereas county sheriffs and deputies have remained on the front lines by answering calls even while sacrificing their own safety to preserve the welfare of their citizens, and whereas county clerks dutifully kept their offices operational to successfully administer the primary and general elections with the utmost integrity while facing innumerable logistical challenges, and whereas county prosecutors and circuit clerks worked tirelessly to ensure that justice was being served even in the face of prolonged courtroom closures and backlog of cases resulting thereof, and whereas county assessors continued to work in the field outside of the confines of the office to meet the constitutionally and statutory obligations of their offices that is essential to fiscal solvency of county government, and whereas the state of West Virginia has been recognized as a leader in the handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, which was made possible through collaboration of state and local government officials and personnel and the devout commitment of its citizenry. Therefore, the West Virginia county officials and personnel are hereby recognized, signed by all members of the House of Delegates. And so I just wanted to read that and say we appreciate the recognition for all of our elected officials. And we want to echo the words of the House of Delegates and recognizing the hard work that all the elected officials, not only the elected officials, our administrative officers as well, have done during this pandemic. And it seems like you can see today we're not masked with the change in the governor's mandate for those fully vaccinated. So it's great to see that we're getting back on the road again towards recovery, and we appreciate the House of Delegates recognizing the work that all of our elected officials and department heads have done. So I wanted to read that. Any other correspondence? All right, announcements. Our next meeting will be the first Thursday of June, 1:30 here at the Courthouse Annex. And
I do have an announcement. I'm on the Randolph County Solid Waste Authority Board, and basically what they do is do recycling in the county, try to keep the trash out of landfills. And they're going to have a electronic recycling on June the 12th from 9 to 1 at the Field Gainer Event Center. So if you have any old computers, TVs you want to get rid of, that's the time to get rid of them.
excellent. Yeah, if you could make sure, Edgar, that gets out, I'd appreciate it. All right, let's see. All right, items for discussion. Now, Phyllis, come on up. We're looking forward to hearing from you guys.
Okay, I just wanted to say that I think I'll turn this over to our chief operator, Curtis Elmore, because he can discuss more of the things we need and what we're doing.
All right.
Because he's in charge of that.
Fantastic.
And he likes talking more anyway.
Yeah, I'm a real public speaker. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm here today with my board chairman and board member, Phyllis and Brad. We'd like to come before the commission at this time to officially announce that we have several things in planning and going on right now. We have several concerns. One of our concerns is sewer phase 3 project that we've been working on for the last 2 to 2.5 years. It's turned out through the COVID pandemic that everyone knows that prices have increased. Everything's going out of sight. We're in the process now with Clay Riley and Thrasher Engineering of reevaluating where we stand with that, and we have a commitment of $1 million for the project so far, and we will possibly need another $800,000 to $900,000 to lock this thing down at today's rates. That's one area that we are very passionate about and would like to announce that any consideration that we could have with that, and I can bring you all up to speed on that more whenever I become more informed about where we're at with that. Another area is, of course, we are aware also that the county has received $5.57 million in funds, and we would like to kind of put our hat in the ring for that also. I have recently advertised, and the board will be going through the process of state code 5G to procure an engineer for some much needed improvements at the plant and the distribution system also. I don't know where this stands right now. One of the big things that we have no emergency backup power, as some of the commissioners may be aware. In previous incidents, we've had some emergency situations where the county's bailed us out on that. I think it's time that Norton Harding Jimtown, with the responsibilities that we have, not only through to our 700 customers, and we have one resale water customer, it's the town of Junior, that has approximately 400 customers. We also have the regional jail in our water system and the Army Readiness Center, which are two facilities that require water in any instance. I mean, we just can't take 600 inmates out in 24 hours and send them somewhere. That's one of our big concerns. Whenever we get an engineer on board and we can set this down, I'd be glad to, or would like to come back to the county commission with what we have and where we stand as far as what we'd like to do, and maybe the funds that we need committed to that. I'm sure we'll be looking for all the funding sources to fund this upgrade project. That's about it for today. I'd just like to take a moment to thank you for considering us and for taking a moment to listen to us about that. We would appreciate any concern, guidance, and assistance that you could provide us for that. So if you have any questions, I'd like anything that you have a question about at this time. I know it's kind of vague, but if not, then thank you for your time.
What do you need, for, like emergency, you need a generator, basically, is what you're needing for when?
Generators, yes, Chris. In the past, we've had to drag emergency generators into the water treatment plant, and we're kind of unique that our water source is away from the plant, so we would require a large generator at the water treatment facility, at least 250 kW. We'd also require 75 kW to run the deep wells. We have also 2 or 3 booster stations that would require at least a 40 kW generator to run those. Another thing that we do not have is backup generation power for our sewer system. And that's a real concern. That's another thing that we'll be looking at. Just a ballpark figure on the generators, we're looking at around $300,000. And that's, as I say, ballpark,
Yeah.
because we haven't looked at it, but
I understand.
that's one of our major concerns. And as anything goes, you know, our original system's 41 years old now. Things wear out, gentlemen, including me. But yeah, it's just an area of concern. As I said, when we select an engineer and go through the process, I'll be better informed to approach you at that time to let you know where we stand and what's going on and look for guidance and assistance.
So you mentioned the phase 3 sewer project.
Mhm.
So is that project already started, or is it in
It
development?
has not. We are still trying to lock down all the funding sources.
Okay.
We got into some grant situations where we were told that we could be eligible for grants, and recently found out that the district doesn't meet the median household income. Our rates aren't high enough to support grants. So we may be looking for that money also. But that was kind of an oversight by the region and the engineer on that part. But as I said, we're working through this, and we're trying to get everything in a row so that we know where we stand. We thought we were fairly close to being shovel ready with phase 3, but we're not. And the phase 3 sewer, to bring you up to speed a little bit, will supply sewage to folks on the top of Norton Hill, as I call it, County Route 151 out towards the old landfill, and also provide sewage for the Mountaineer Mart and the areas up the apartment buildings, complexes and stuff up that little street in Norton. They are not on our sewer system right now, and they much need it.
And a little further down our agenda is a letter of support for an earmark. So
Yes.
is there an earmark that was requested from Senator Manchin's office, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
That was requested. Kerry Smith called me last Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, Mark, I can't remember, and I got in contact with your assistant, and she was most graciously able to help us with that on a short notice. But from what I understand, there have been several requests from Senator Manchin's office on these funds, and I think they got another big request yesterday. They needed like 30 support letters for something. So don't know where it's going, but we'd just like to get our foot in the door and be considered if we can.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect, thank you.
Anything else, Phyllis or Brad?
No, I think that's it.
All right, okay, well, thank you all for coming, and appreciate it. And I'll tell you what, if it's all right with you guys, we'll go ahead and move up the consideration for ratifying the letter of support for, that's the letter I for the Norton PSD. You guys okay with us doing that?
Yeah,
All right,
no
so,
problem.
Brooke, if you could pull that, thank you. As Curtis mentioned, we actually got 2 requests for letters of support for various earmark projects through Senator Manchin's office, and we were able to take care of those, but we do need to ratify those signatures. So at this point, we'll consider a motion to approve ratification for the signature on the Norton Harding Jimtown Public Service District request.
Okay, I'll move that we ratify the signature for the letter of support for the Norton Harding Jimtown Public Service District.
All right, motion on the floor is to ratify the signature on the letter of support for the Norton Harding Jimtown PSD. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so that's got you all covered, so thank you very much. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. If you need to go, we understand, so.
We appreciate your time.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, next item on the agenda is consider signing a letter of endorsement for the Leading Creek Fire Department's annual gun bash. All right, we have a request from the Leading Creek Volunteer Fire Department for an ABC letter of support from the county commission, so at this time we'll entertain a motion to approve that.
Make a motion, we approve this, letter of endorsement for the Leading Creek Fire Department's annual gun bash.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the letter of support, ABC letter for the gun bash for Leading Creek Volunteer Fire Department. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item is consider approval of quotes from Visors Radio Service. All right, we recently had a meeting with various first responders throughout the county about issues dealing with the communication systems for the county. We had some issues with, and still have some issues with communications not going as well as possible. We reached out to our 911 director about ways that we might be able to improve that service. And one of the things is, that was recommended by the person who is licensed to do the programming for the radios, is the equipment on the Mill Creek Volunteer Fire Department radio tower is outdated. And so we had asked them to provide a quote for us to be able to update that. So Cindy, you have anything that you'd like to add to that?
Yes, I actually spoke with Ted Weiser today, and he said that he would be testing the Mill Creek station and the Huttonsville station to see where they would get the better coverage. So he will take somebody with him, and wherever they'll get the better coverage, that's
Okay.
where they'll actually erect the tower
Okay.
and antenna. The other thing, in the quote, there was not a cabinet for the radios, another specific radio, and we didn't put it in there because we kept that from our whole building. So we're trying to recycle as much as we can to keep the quote down.
Okay, excellent. So, but we have that available, so wherever they end up in.
Wherever
putting
they
it.
end up, it's in our back room at the new building.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, the estimate we received from Visors Radio Service to do an upgrade from, what they would do is put a low band and a high band, correct, Cindy? Receivers.
Yeah, it'd be the dual band, and then, actually, they work off a repeater system now, and that would still be in effect. And with the potential that we could, if Wears Ridge ever had an issue, we could potentially put, the IRP radio on that tower as well, depending on the height.
Okay, all right, so, we have an estimate for the low band and high band, and then also for the, installation on the tower. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the quote from Visor Radio Service.
Okay, I move that we approve the quote from Visors Radio Service for tower improvement and antenna, plus antenna installation. What's the total on all
We've got 4,600 for this one, and
Okay.
we've got 10,460 for that one.
Just over 15,000.
Okay.
Over $15,000.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the quote for Visor Radio Services for the upgrades to the communication towers up the valley. And, the amount of that total is looks like, yeah, maybe $15,140. Tell you what, let me just do the math real quick, that way we'll have the correct amount.
15,120, I think.
$15,060. Yep, $15,060. So is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. All right, let's see. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of board appointment to Deputy Sheriff Civil Service Commission. All right, we recently had a resignation of a board member from the board of the Civil Service Commission, and the Civil Service Commission has requested that we make an appointment to fill that previously unexpired term that was filled before by Todd Wamsley. So this time I'll entertain a motion that we approve this.
I'll make a motion that we approve the appointment of Judy Ritchie to the Randolph County Deputy Sheriff Civil Service Commission in order to fill the unexpired term previously held by Todd Wamsley. Term will begin immediately and remain effective until June 30th, 2021.
All right, motion on the floor is to appoint Judy Ritchie to fill the unexpired term of Todd Wamsley, and that term will begin immediately and remain in effect till June 30th of 2021. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is consider a quote from Casto Technical for RTU repair in the old 911 building. All right, as you all know, Casto Technical Group is the company that does our maintenance, and during the maintenance of our units the other day, what was happening in the 911 center is if the generator had to come on, if there was a brief interruption in power, generator would come on, and what it would do is it would flip from one operational air conditioning system to another, and that air conditioning system did not operate. And so in order to make sure that it works properly, because what it would do is shut the whole system down, so we didn't have any AC in the 911 center if we had a power outage.
So what's this basically a switch that kicks?
It is,
Like a switch
it's a
that
module
transfers
with,
power and-
yeah, and it's also a module within the system itself. So what was happening is not only the switch was working fine, but what was happening was the unit itself was not. So the switch would switch over, the unit would not fire up, and then it would stay there. It would not switch back. So it switches fine, it doesn't switch back properly. So this will take care of all that. It'll repair the equipment, and it will also fix the switch back issue as well. So at this time, I entertain a motion that we approve that.
Okay, I move that we approve the quote from Casto Technical for RTU repair in the old 911 building, and the amount of this quote being $2,031.80.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the estimate for Casto Technical to repair the unit in the old 911 building. The amount of that repair would be $2,031.80. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is consider hire a part-time help for the Randolph County Humane Office. All right, we recently were approached by our humane officer about gaps in coverage times. When he is off duty or he is out of town or whatever, there's not anyone that's covering for him. And so we discussed with with him, we discussed among ourselves, also discussed with Michael Parker the best way to handle this. And the recommendation from our prosecutor was to hire a part-time person to help the humane officer to cover those gap times that they're not available. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion that we do so.
And make a motion that we approve the hiring of Diana Coda as part-time animal control officer. Her starting pay will be $12.50 an hour. She'll begin working on May 21st, 2021. This is an unbenefited position.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the part-time hire of Diana Coda as a part-time animal control officer. Any discussion?
And we did have somebody was filling in before, and they finally retired. So.
Yeah.
And Charlie does need help.
Yeah.
He really does.
This will fit, you know, he runs around, he gets calls continuously on the weekends and things, and having someone there that can come and help him would be, and there's sometimes where you have a large amount of animals that need to be seized, having someone that he can call, that he can depend on is gonna be extremely helpful, so. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is consider approval of appointment to the Elkins-Randolph County Regional Airport Authority. All right, we have a request from the Elkins-Randolph County Airport Authority. It says on behalf of the Elkins-Randolph County Regional Airport Authority, I would like to thank you for your support, and we also appreciate the appointments to the Airport Authority. The current term for Niels Hinkie expires June 30th, 2021, and the authority would like to have us reappoint Mr. Hinkie for another 3-year term. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion that we do so.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the appointment to the Elkins Randolph County Regional Airport Authority, the reappointment of Mr. Hinkie, to another 3-year term, July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2024.
All right, so the motion on the floor is to reappoint Niels Hinkie to the Airport Authority with a 3-year term beginning July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2024. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is consider ratifying signature on letter of support for the Midland Public Service District. All right, as I mentioned before, we had received a request earlier in the week with a short deadline for these requests for the earmarks, thank you, from the budget. This is a new process that's just happened this year. I think they've done them years ago, but they stopped doing them, I think like 10 years ago. And so they've started that process again. And so there was a call that went out from Senator Manchin's office. I saw one today from Senator Capito's office as well, for anyone needing these earmarks to make these requests. And so at this time, we'll entertain a motion to ratify the signature for the Midland Public Service District request for funding.
I make a motion that we approve ratifying the signature of the letter of support for Midland PSD.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the ratifying the signature on the letter of support for the earmark for the Midland Public Service District. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Is that the project you want to develop, Fulton?
Yeah, this is the Faulkner Run Road
Faulkner
water
Road.
line extension. So that was one of the ones that they are looking for, any help that they can receive from the COVID funding. This would provide, I think, another,
100.
almost 100, yeah. And so anything we can do to extend
No, yeah,
the
get the water.
infrastructure is tremendous.
I
So.
agree.
All right, let's see. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of closing old estates pursuant to House Bill 2746.
We have 162.
All right, entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the closing of 162 old estates pursuant to the House Bill 2746, as presented.
We started this process a little over a year ago. I don't know how, hundreds we've been able to close
Yes.
because of this legislation. And so, we're appreciative that we're able to get these things done. So we have another 146.
162.
162?
Right.
Yes.
162 to consider today. So, is there any discussion?
I think it's going about it in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
And we're in the
Up to
R's
S's.
now, so that's R's and
S's,
S's.
yep.
There's a few with different,
Yeah.
and it may be in date order instead of
Maybe
alphabetical.
from the oldest to the,
Yep,
Yes, it started back in 1980s, the resumes, and now these are the more recent ones.
okay, well, good.
outstanding.
Okay, I'll move that we,
I did it.
Yep.
Oh,
sorry,
you already
yeah.
did?
Yeah, we're in discussion. All right, any
I'm
other
still
discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is consider approval of recommendation from the fiduciary commissioner on the estate of Edna Wagner. We have our fiduciary commissioner with us today, Mr. Wallace. Thank you for
I'm
coming.
always happy to see you close old estates. This one's a little bit tricky or complicated, but, so John Wegman died, and his brother Dennis, who lives in Arizona, got appointed over the estate. And John owned a house up the valley, and Dennis went to Johnson Realty and put it on the market. Johnson found a buyer came forward, they were doing the inspections, they were doing the title work. Well, it turns out that John wasn't the only owner of that property, that John, during his lifetime, had also conveyed an interest to his mother, also Dennis's mother, Edna. So basically, the deal fell apart for the sale of the real estate because they had to clean up the title. And they pulled the contract, Johnson pulled the contract, and Then over the next several months, Jennifer Morgan got the title sorted out, and the buyers who Johnson had procured came back around to Dennis and said, "Oh, we still want to buy this house," and they sold him the house. The problem is they cut Johnson out of that transaction. So Johnson filed a claim saying, "Hey, we're owed our commission on this. We brought you the buyer." The difficult thing is that the original contract was between Dennis and the estate of John, and the estate of John was closed in May of last year. And so the claim is then filed in the estate of Edna, and I don't think that the contract can apply to the estate of Edna because the estate of Edna never agreed to hire Johnson Realty, but the estate was enriched unjustly by the work of Johnson Realty in bringing this buyer forward. So the recommendation is that Johnson receive, I think it's just under $4,500, $4,497, which would represent half of the commission under the contract. The relief wouldn't be based on the contract, but that would be, Edna owned half the property. The claim was filed in Edna's estate. Johnson brought them the buyer that brought them that money. So that would be the recommendation, is for $4,497 plus the cost of the hearing to be assessed to the estate. It's my understanding from talking to Mrs. Morgan that Mr. Dennis Wegman has already sent a check for that amount.
All right. Any questions? All right, at this time we'll entertain a motion that we accept the recommendation of the fiduciary commissioner regarding this estate.
I make a motion we approve the recommendation from the fiduciary commissioner on the estate of Edna Wegman.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the recommendation from the fiduciary commissioner on the estate of Edna Wegman. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is consider approval of application for the HIDA grant. We recently were approached from members of our congressional legislation regarding the application for a HIDA grant. What HIDA stands for is it's a high intensity drug trafficking areas program. This grant, if given, would provide additional services for our Mountain Region Task Force for drug enforcement. And so this is the second or third year in a row that they've applied. It's never been accepted. And the way this program works is the money does not directly flow to the county. So the grant is written from the U.S. Attorney's Office on our behalf, but because we do not receive the money directly, we don't have to sign off on this grant. So although we are a grantee, we are not technically the grant application. It's a pretty complicated process. We have found out that the application was sent in earlier this year on our behalf, and we've already heard back that they have not accepted the grant application for another year. And they've reached out to us to provide technical assistance. So coming into the next year, we may be able to have our grant writer work with the U.S. District Attorney's Office or U.S. Attorney's Office to try to clean that application and do whatever it needs to be done to take care of it. But this year, I just wanted to let everyone know that that the application was done earlier this year, done by the U.S. Attorney, and we just got word yesterday that it wasn't accepted yet from Brett Dusenberry, which is the representative from Alex Moody's office, that was not accepted. So there's not any action we need to do on this. I just wanted to let make everyone aware of the situation. And unfortunate, but we'll see if we can get Peggy to work with them next year. See if we can get it next year. All right. Okay. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of appointments for the E911 board. If you all will recall, we established at our last meeting the E911 advisory board, and so at this time we have reached out to various people about working with us on this advisory board. So at this time we have names to add for our advisory board. So at this time I'll entertain a motion.
Okay. I move that we approve these appointments for the E911 board, and first name is Rob Elvin representing County Fire Departments, Kurt Gaynor representing Randolph County Emergency Medical Services, David Simmons representing the West Virginia State Police, Rob Elvin representing the Randolph County Sheriff's Department, Travis Bennett representing Municipal Law Enforcement, and 911 Cindy Hart as an ex officio member.
And also we have, for the hospital,
Did you get names?
Hollis Vance, yes.
Hollis Vance
Yes.
and Hollis Vance.
That would be.
Davis
from,
Medical
yeah,
Center.
Davis Medical Center, so, and I believe that fills the board, that gives.
And the terms of these members will begin on June 1st, 2021, and on June 1st, 2024.
So the motion on the floor is to approve these members to the board. I just wanna make sure I've got the name correct, so let me check. real quick.
Hollis Vance.
Oh, is it Lipson?
Lipscomb.
Yeah, okay.
Lipscomb, yes,
I know
thank
Hollis
you.
Vance.
I was gonna say, yeah. I thought-
Yeah, Hollis Lipscomb, thank you. Thank you very much. So it's Hollis Lipscomb, it's
Okay.
not Hollis Vance. All right, so the motion on the floor is to approve, the members to the board as presented. So is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Look forward to those, folks' service with for the county.
I know they're gonna have the meetings, is it?
They
They have
can-
the bylaws already?
They do, the bylaws, the state code says that they can meet, on a quarterly basis.
Oh.
So we'll get together with the board members, let them know they've been appointed, and then they can go ahead and get a meeting established and get started with work, all right?
Very good.
All right. All right, next item on the agenda is consider funding request from the Mountain Region Drug Task Force. All right, we've got a request letter from the Mountain Region Drug Task Force. This is an organization that covers multiple counties, but has done a lot of work recently with taking drugs off the street. So they do undercover buys and sting operations, and as a result, they've gone from a one-member staff to 5 full-time officers since January 1st, 2021. They now are up to 5 officers. So they are asking if we would consider providing $3,500 for their investigation budget for them to be able to do buys of drug buys in order to, and normally what happens is they will come back and they will get the money back, but there's a lead time. So what we're doing, if we do this, we'll provide some money to continue these investigations, so there won't be any lag between the time that they seize property and then it's awarded to them to go into their accounts. So they've made this request, so at this time I'll entertain a motion that we can consider this.
All right, that's it. I'll make a motion that we approve the funding request for the Mountain Region Drug Task Force in the amount of $3,500.
Yes, sir. All right, motion on the floor is to approve the request from the Mountain Region Drug Task Force, the amount of $3,500 to assist with the drug buys. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I think that's a small cost to help get bring more drugs off the street.
And you can see we've had an uptick in
Oh,
the
yeah,
number of
yeah.
seizures. I mean, you guys have done a tremendous job with, local, departments, the state police. There's been a lot of stops made where, based on information, they make the stop and they're able to seize, these
Yeah, I
drugs.
think they're doing a great job.
Yeah, we appreciate, all that's being done, so.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is to consider approval of reimbursement request from the Randolph County Housing Authority for the CDBG grant funds. All right, this is, the next monthly request from, the community block grant that has been received. As you all heard earlier, Jennifer Griggs gave us an update on the good work that they're doing. This is to help our citizens that have been directly affected from COVID for rental assistance, assistance with their utility bills, whatever, they can help. And so the amount of this request, is $12,151.41. So at this time, I entertain a motion that we approve that.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the reimbursement request from the Randolph County Housing Authority for the CDBG-CV1 grant funds in the amount of $12,151.41. $141.41.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the grant request from the Housing Authority for the community block grant funding in the amount of $12,151.41. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, final settlements and annual accountings.
Make a motion, we approve the one final settlement as presented.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the one final settlement as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, budget revisions. All right. We have a few today. First, one is a request from the prosecutor's office to do an in-house budget revision to decrease the travel budget and increase our software budget in the amount of $510. This time I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
Okay, I move that we approve the in-house budget revision in prosecuting attorney's office in the amount of $510.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the in-house budget revision from the prosecutor's office as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next we have a request for an in-house budget revision for the dog warden to increase the dog warden's cell phone in the amount of $150 and decrease the training and education fund by $150. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion that we approve that.
Make a motion, we approve the in-house budget revision for the dog warden in the amount of $150.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the in-house budget revision for the dog warden as submitted. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next item on the agenda is for a budget revision. And this is be an in-house budget revision for a decrease in the equipment budget of $650 and an increase in the insurance and bond budget for $650. This time I'll entertain a motion that we approve
Whose
this.
office is this?
This would be for, this is
Community.
Aaron Wright Community Corrections. This is from 072.
Okay. Okay, I move we approve the in-house budget revision from the North Central Community Corrections as submitted, and which is in the amount of $650.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the in-house budget revision as submitted. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Division of Property Erroneous Assessments.
Make a motion that we approve the 4 exonerations as presented.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve 4 exonerations as submitted. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, do we have any distressed properties?
We have one.
All right. Entertain a motion that we approve.
Okay, I move that we approve this distressed properties as submitted.
All right, and this is for case number 2015. And so recommendation has been made to approve this. Is there any discussion?
Which case is it, 2015?
2015, yes, sir. All right. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next, fire fee adjustments.
Okay, I move that we approve the 4 fire fee adjustments as submitted.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the 4 fire fee adjustments as submitted. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
More signing.
All right. And next is payment of the bills, right?